All right. Good morning. Happy Sunday morning, Sonder fam. So happy that you are here with us this morning, setting up this first week of February, February 1st today. So welcome. I'm so glad you made a little bit of time. And I love folks. I see a lot of people with my February vibe and a lot of folks are healing in my own pace. I think for me, it's resting without guilt, really remembering that we are still in winter, right? I think that's important to remember. We made it through January. Um, Today is kind of a midway point between the winter and the spring, right? So the spring is coming. It is getting a little more light, but that doesn't mean we have to kick it into high gear by any means, right? This is still a time of wintering and recovering. A lot of planning happens in February. So restoring energy. I see. Doreen's going on a northern. Oops, the chat went really fast. A Norwegian Northern Lights cruise. I love it. And then hanging in London, have such a fun time. And my fabulous co-facilitator here today is Jennifer O. She's down in Texas. She is getting ready to do her vacation as well. So a lot of people getting ready to take vacation, again, getting some time to rest, all of those good things. So again, thank you all for being here. Make sure that you set your chat to everyone, that little blue box, excuse me, has a tendency to flip to host and panelist. And when it does that, the only people that see it are myself and Jen O. So if you need something from just us, you can always feel free to switch it to that. Otherwise, just make sure that you have it to everyone so that we can share here. And also just a few other little community guidelines. Make sure that you're kind and courteous to both yourself and others. No promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy, no hate speech or bullying, limiting those repetitive product and accessory questions. It's fine to ask about pins and stickers and those kinds of things that folks are using, but honestly, the best place for that is in our Sonder Club app. So make sure that you ask those questions there so that you can get those recommendations. Redirect any of those customer care inquiries to our headquarters team, hello@silkandsonder.com. So if you have shipping questions, excuse me, if you're still waiting for your February journal, need some tracking information, if you need to update billing information, make sure you remember to update those credit card expiration dates on billing. I've had that happen before where I get the, credit card denied or whatever, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And it's actually just, I got a new credit card that had a new expiration date. And remember that participating in these is totally up to you. How you want to participate in our socials. This is your time to be here with all of us. These are recorded so that you can watch them at any given point in time. You can rewatch. So, and Jen O is popping the link there into chat. So remember that these Sonder socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that we're working on that just isn't your jam, if you're just not feeling it, you want to do something else, but you still want to be here, you still want to be in community, you're welcome to be here. Do what you need. Sometimes people spend a lot of time in the chat, don't necessarily work a lot in their journal during the social, and they work on it later. Some people, it's nose and journal, focusing on getting that set up. They kind of ignore the chat. Some people, it's a mix of two. We usually do 3 setup socials, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday morning. And so you can come to as many of those as you want or need to. And again, you can watch the recordings if you need some more ideas. I do like to point out that it's a good idea to take some snapshots, screenshots of some of these slides if you want to remember some of the good ideas folks have. And Maggie says, I need to figure out how to celebrate in bulk. So in bulk. So that is today, the 1st of February, and it's really that time of renewal. So a lot of times people will do things like maybe lighting candles or doing some cleaning. This is a good time to start that spring cleaning, start that spring decluttering, to get ready for what that's going to look like. I was trying to think of some of the other things. Like somebody was talking yesterday on one of the socials about they wanted to open the windows, even though it's cold outside, to just kind of get that fresh air to kind of cycle through. And I know it's a little chilly, but that's a good way to kind of celebrate this midway point because really in bulk is about this idea of we made it. through the hardest part, right? We're still here. It's kind of like a checkpoint. It's not saying spring's here yet because it's not here yet, but it will be here. So I love that folks are really kind of embracing our nature cycles, right? And looking forward to the more sun. And if you saw the full moon this morning, it was quite big and glowing. That's the snow moon is here. So kind of a fun first of the month. I would be happier if it was Monday, but that's okay. I'll take a Sunday as the first of the month, and then the snow moon and a nice new month. Getting ready to dive in to this month's theme, which is belief, which I think is a super fun way to follow up alignment, which was last month. If you're new, is anybody new here? This is your first month with Silk and Sonder, first time joining us in a social. You can just put like a little me in the chat. But I see a lot of familiar names, and I know you've been with us for a little bit, and maybe you're just finishing up alignment. And I think it's great to kind of dive into this idea of belief. And we're going to be exploring this all month, right? And so Kimberly, welcome. She says she's new. Welcome, welcome. And you'll notice that these socials really we provide these as ways to get some ideas from what other folks have done. No right or wrong way to use your journal. I see some other folks, Nikki, Adria, if I'm saying that right. So welcome to our new folks. I'm so glad that we have some new people. We have our returning. We have such a fabulous community here, right? And it's so lovely to everyone's very supportive and lots of fun ideas for how to use it. But I found this quote, and I really liked it, this idea of break often, not like porcelain, but like the waves, right? And I think that's a really good reminder, right? Waves are meant to break. The waves break on the shore. What if waves didn't break? What if waves just continued to build and build and build? They would be these huge destructive forces of nature, right? But they do. They embrace the shore, right? They release. It's that nice break on the shore, the release, and then it kind of gathers its strength, right? Pulls back, gathers some more strength, and then breaks again. And just that continuous cycle, right? That continuous rolling like a wave. So I love that idea. I love that belief of we can break like waves, right? We can sometimes gather a lot of things on our shoulders, and sometimes it's good to just kind of let those go. And these Sonder socials, I think, sometimes are the perfect place to do that. So I think that's a fun way to kind of think of belief. And we are going to dig into a lot about belief this month. So be ready for some deep conversations. The first one is going to occur in our belief mind map. So at these weekly socials, we always spend just a little bit of time digging into the theme, giving you some things to chew on about the theme. What does belief mean? So we'll do that. We'll do our rosebud thorn activity, and then we'll do our weekly setup pages. So if you've been with me for a while, I always do these two little cartoons to remind us of a couple points. The first one with the little pile of kittens says, there's room for you here just as you are. So it's come as you are. Happy things happening to share, stressful things happening to share, needing some support, providing some support. It's just however you are, we're so glad that you're here with us to share that. And then the way you feel matters, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. So nobody can say, oh, you shouldn't be mad about that, or you shouldn't be stressed, or you should be happy, right? Nobody can really tell us how we feel. Our feelings are our feelings, and we're here to feel them all with you. So Pam says, yay, the mind map, the best for starting the week. It really is. And this is going to be one that's really going to get you thinking, and it might be the kind of thing that you revisit periodically throughout the week and maybe even throughout the month with this question. So really that idea of thinking about how our beliefs shape us, but they shape us quietly, right? Some beliefs we choose, and some are inherited, and some were formed to help us through a moment in time. So this month, we're simply slowing down to notice them. It's all about noticing our beliefs, understanding, kind of unpacking those beliefs. Where did they come from? How have they been helping us? Maybe how we might want to think about letting them go and take on some new beliefs. Each week, we're going to offer a space to reflect with curiosity and kindness. No fixing, no pressure, no right answers. Write what feels true to you right now. and trust that whatever comes up is enough. And I will admit that we don't spend a ton of time doing this. We could probably spend the entire hour talking about our mind map. So just know this is kind of a starting point for you. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to hurry. I have to get all this stuff out and I don't have enough time. Right. Again, remember these socials really are kind of that starting point for you to be able to continue to do this work. So week one, we're talking about the idea of inherited beliefs. So, what belief did you inherit without choosing? And how has it shaped the way you live, love, or decide? And then you want to think about, if I could thank this belief for one thing, it would be. So, our mind map, some tips for this. A lot of people, you're just going to use a blank page in your journal. This isn't written anywhere in your journal. You could use the weekly scratch pad. You could use sticky notes. The definitions page on page 3, page 28 and 29 are blank. The quote page on page 38, the notes page on page 57. Some people like to use that very last page. So this is mine. I use some pretty washi tape to kind of make a little thing with the 4 pieces. Oh, Nicole, I'm glad you were here. Sorry it took you so long to get here, but you're here. You made it just in time for our mind map discussion. So again, remember, this week one is, what belief did you inherit without choosing, and how has it shaped the way you live, love, or decide? So who did this belief come from? Maybe it was family, culture, faith, survival. When did you first realize this belief was operating in you? In what ways has it helped you belong? And in what ways has it helped, or has it limited you? And then if you could thank this belief for one thing, it would be. So I wrote mine. I was kind of thinking about this idea of beliefs and where I inherited beliefs from. And the belief that I kind of landed on, I mean, we all have lots of beliefs, but the one that I landed on for this is the idea that rest has to be earned, right? That was something that was just kind of drilled into me. This don't be lazy. Got in trouble a lot of times as a kid for being lazy if I was just laying around, sleeping too much. So this idea of rest, and that really came from my dad. He was very adamant about us working hard, about us constantly doing things, about us being productive. And so it was really hard for me. Yeah, you go to work no matter what, right, Nicole? You go to work if you're sick. We owned our own business. Growing up, my parents, we had a pet store. And so it was just, we were always busy, right? Even when the pet store was closed, we had to deal with the animals and take care of the animals. And yeah, I think a lot of dads, maybe from certain periods of time, were very into that. Rest has to be earned, and you can't take too much rest, and you can't be lazy, right? And so I really realized this. Like, I hadn't really realized that was a belief that I held. I just, just did the thing. Yeah, I always had to work in the summer. I had to work after school. Sometimes I'd have to do some stuff before school, always on the weekends. And I think I really started thinking about this after I started doing Silk and Sonder, right? And really started digging into some of these things. And this idea of rest, you deserve rest. You don't have to earn it. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I don't have to earn it. I don't have to prove my productivity. I don't have to tick off a million things to say, okay, now I can have 30 minutes where I just sit here. Like I can just take 30 minutes and that's okay. Like that's my right. That's what I can do. Right. And I think the belief, I do think, helped me in terms of keeping me busy, made me very productive. Right. I impressed people. People were always like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you do everything. And how I did everything was I didn't rest. Right. I didn't give myself any downtime. But it really gave a lot of feelings of guilt if I did rest. I wasn't resting. Burnout was definitely high on the list. But I do want to thank this belief for helping me be productive, helping me see that I can do a lot of things, but then also really thinking about just that limiting piece of the guilt and those kinds of things. So and I see some people are already kind of thinking about, yeah, I love that Nicole's saying our famous family story is how my grandfather delivered milk with 103-degree fever. Other people are saying some of their beliefs that they inherited was financial scarcity, food waste, and saving things just in case. Sarah, that's me too, right? You don't waste. You clean your plate. Don't waste things. Don't throw things away. Like don't and that hoarder tendency, right, of keeping things just in case I might need it. right? And again, they're useful sometimes in some way. They've helped us to be where we are right now. But now we're going to talk about, and that's what we're going to talk about all month, is kind of what we do with these beliefs. So today really is about identifying a belief that we inherited without choosing, who it came from, when did we realize we had this belief, how's it helped us, how's it limited us, and what we would thank it for. So I'm going to play a little bit of music, let you work on this. Feel free to keep sharing in the chat. Yeah, I know Savannah's saying we all had the same parents. No resting, no wasting, all those kinds of things. So keep sharing in the chat. I'll play a little bit of music and be quiet to let you work on this. And we will check back in here in just a few moments. Thank you all for sharing. I think it's amazing to see a lot of us have very similar beliefs that were handed down to us from our parents. Um, and I think it's really important to recognize these aren't bad beliefs. We're not fixing anything. We're not talking about this is wrong. These are wrong beliefs. You have to completely and eliminate them, right? A lot of beliefs are rooted in a need that either we have or someone else has for us. so that we will do our best, so that we will survive, right? A lot of these beliefs help us with survival. So don't feel bad or feel guilty or feel like, oh, this, these horrible beliefs are limiting me and this is so bad. Like, this really is about exploration, about really just kind of taking a look at it, getting some things down on paper. And we're going to work all month on kind of digging through these. And for those of you who maybe work with a therapist, this might be a good activity, and especially the activities we do this month, to kind of bring back to them to talk about what kinds of things are surfacing, how things are showing up for you with this idea of beliefs. And really, the point is to identify our beliefs, get really clear about them, and then kind of question them, right? Why do I have this belief? Where did this come from? Do I need it? Do I maybe need to morph it a little bit? Do I need to change it? Kind of where is this, and what is there? Oh, that's funny. Annalisa says, I never needed ideas for what to talk about in therapy. Always plenty. Absolutely, right? We all have plenty of things. But that's the nice thing about Silk and Sonder, is that it gives us this time to kind of write things down, to get things kind of out of our head and onto the paper. And I really appreciate everyone taking just a little bit of time and thinking about their beliefs. And there will be lots more opportunities throughout this month to talk about these things. So I do want to keep us moving on, because we want to make sure we get through all of our activities, but we are going to go to our Rosebud Thorn section, where we always spend a little bit of time reflecting on the previous week. So if you are finishing up the week in your January journal, it's going to, your January journal is going to be on page 56. If you only have your February journal, or you've completely transitioned over there, you can do page 30. In your February journal, it is there to work on. And it's always so important to just spend just a few moments reflecting on kind of what we did this last week. We have our rose, our bud, and our thorn. I like to start with the thorn so we can get kind of the out of the way. Our thorn is something that's challenging or stressful. Maybe we could use some support on. Maybe it's things that are out of our control, things that are beyond our sphere of influence sometimes. And I think for me lately, just the news and the things and kind of the bad vibes that I feel like are kind of out there. I know there are good vibes out there, but sometimes the bad just seems to be really loud. So that has definitely been my thorn for this last week. And I know it probably is for a lot of you. But then we can move on to our bud, something that we look forward to, something giving us hope, motivation, inspiration. So I have my second quilting class after this social. I will pack up my sewing machine and head over to my friend's house. And we're going to a store here in town called Tree Lotta. And wonderful lady who's helping us finish up our quilts that we had started. So I'm super excited about that. That's that emerging opportunity. Excited to maybe be finishing a project that I started in 2013. So that is definitely a bud. And then our rose is our highlight, something that's exciting, grateful for, positive, something that made us feel really good, something that made us feel happy, something that filled our cup. Something that just really made our week. And so last night, my husband and I went to, it was at the Colorado Symphony's building, but it wasn't Colorado Symphony because they are in New York right now performing. So it was actually the Philip Glass Ensemble, and they showed the film Koyaanisqatsi, and they played live, which is amazing. So if you don't know the film Koyaanisqatsi, it's from 1983. We realized it's very much a time capsule film. It's probably easily available. I would imagine, I don't know if it's on any streaming services, probably on YouTube, or you can see clips of it. So it's and you have to like Philip Glass, right? Yeah. Oh, good. Annalisa likes Philip Glass's. Not everybody's cup of tea in music, but we definitely love it. And it was really great to see it on big screen. And then really kind of, hearing them play there in in the theater, and or in, it was in the symphony hall. And so that was really fun. And both my husband and I really, really enjoyed that. So that was my rose for the week. So feel free to share in the chat. I see Catherine saying something about the Birthday Bash Sonder event. Yes, Jennifer O will pop in some links for that, and we'll talk about it more a little bit at the end. I was trying to see what else some other people, kind of this idea, retirement in June. Oh, Christina, that is definitely a bud. Yay. What else? See some other things. Oh, and hubby had good leukemia checkup. Oh, I'm so glad. So glad to hear about the stable numbers. A girls crafting weekend coming up. Oh, and 1099s are A thorn, yeah. For sure. Taxes. We try not that's down the road. We're gonna push that down to like April, April Maya's task, right? So let us know in the chat. I'll play just a little bit of music and then we'll just keep moving on. All right. So thank you for sharing your rose, your bud, and your thorns. I think it's such a good activity to really kind of remind us of the balance, right? Of things. There are things that are good, and there are things that are not so good. So thank you all for sharing there in the chat some of the different things. And I also appreciate some people, somebody said that they retired and that's their rose, their bud, and their thorn. And I think that's a great point, right? Sometimes something can be all three. When we were remodeling the bedroom, that was definitely my rose, my bud, and my thorn for like a month. So don't think it has to be three separate things. It is very possible that it can be all of those things. So again, this is also a great section to check back on when you do your monthly reflections. So if you haven't had a chance to set up the month of February journal, I know that our fabulous Jennifer O she's doing all three of the monthly setups. So she did one Friday night, she did one yesterday, and she's doing one, I think, again tonight. So, and there are also the recordings. So, yep, she'll be here tonight. So she's doing all the setup things. So that's always good when you do your month and you can look back on the month and look at those rosebud thorns and kind of see what did I do this month? What actually happened? So let's dive into that weekly planner. We're going to go to page 32, excuse me, and 33. I had a couple fun little graphics there. I do enjoy finding the fun little graphics there on Instagram or Facebook. And I like the February. Be kind to you, send sweet cards to the people you love, grab a cup of tea and catch up with your friend, have a movie night with snacks, eat pancakes, look out for the little buds sprouting. So February definitely is kind of a fun, and I like all the fun kind of pinks and those kinds of things, right? So the first thing up there in the top is how you want to feel. So I always say this is kind of how you want to show up for both yourself and for others. this week. So I did pop in. This is from Silk and Saunders Instagram page. If you don't follow them, highly recommend. We've been having lots of fun graphics, lots of fun posts in there. So definitely want to check that out. So I did put this in there. The first three words you see will be your February. It is, I guess, technically February. Is anybody else like me? When you go to write it, you have to write February. Otherwise, you spell it wrong. Kind of like Wednesday. I always have to say it that way, otherwise I'm going to spell it wrong. So our February affirmations, so you can kind of see some different things in there. So those potentially could be how you want to feel. Here's some other examples of things that folks have put. I love the little whimsical, and they drew a cute little trees and mountains and those kinds of things. Somebody put moving forward. I want to feel enough. I see people in the chat saying they want to feel loved and peaceful and grateful, feel progress, less pressure, more peace, grounded. My goals are to be happy, healthy, and surrounded by loved ones. So again, it can be one word, it can be several words, it can be a phrase or a mantra or affirmation. Put some stickers in there. If you've got some of those, your stickers want to be stuck. That's their destiny. So put them on a page. Maybe it's a picture you want to draw, something you want to focus on. Maybe it's a quote, or if you've got your word of the year, maybe that goes in there as well. So I want to kind of tie this into the three weekly major three goals, because a lot of times the goals that you set up will help you feel the feeling that you want to feel. And so I also liked this little graphic that said, February, please bring the energy that nourishes me, sprinkles hope, soothes what still feels tender, grounds me, ignites a quiet courage within, allows me to breathe, softens me, wraps me in calm. I like the wraps me in calm. Whispers, you've got this, and heals the parts I'm still learning to love. So here's some examples of things that folks have done with their goals. Sometimes you break it into an early, midday, and an evening goal. Sometimes it's frog, fun, and fierce. So frog is comes from the Eat the Frog book that talks about if you do the worst thing that you have to do, or you do the thing, you eat the frog first thing in the morning or right away, then that's the worst thing that happens to you that day, right? That's the worst thing you have to do. I like the idea of having something fun on there. The 4 C's, they have a create, consume, cavort, and commune. That is awesome. I might have to adapt that. I kind of like the 4 C's there idea. And then she has the little things that she's going to do for each of those. Another one has they're going to embrace planning, embrace doing, and embrace peacefulness. And then they made a little to-do bingo and tied the things into their 3 goals. So that's a fun example. A bingo board is always fun, right? And you could put a little fun heart there in the middle for the free space. Bingo, yes, bingos are fun. Makes things a little more gamified, makes them a little more fun. One person has they're going to let go of one thing, they're going to leap into another thing, and then they're going to learn something. So let go, leap into, and learn. One person just kind of changed it into some to-dos. They switched their to-dos and their goals, right? Because they use some little stickers, so you can do that. I love the cute little, I'm guessing they're little otters down there with the little hearts. So our 3 goals are to see if I get a job offer, send more pen pal cards, and finish setting up the February journal. So love to see all of those different things. Again, some other ideas of things you can do. You can have a professional, a mind, and a body goal. You can talk about, you can just be some basic things. You can also repurpose this section. Maybe you have monthly goals, and so you don't necessarily want to put that in here for weekly goals. So maybe you want to do some fun quotes, podcasts, seasonal reads. Oh, it said get excited about the new year. It's still kind of the new year. To be honest, I don't really do New Year until like March, when the spring, when it starts to become spring. 3 songs, 3 topics you want to know about, 3 new recipes. Maybe it's a mini bingo board. So lots of fun, different ideas, things to do for that. So I'm going to let you work on your feeling, your goals, find that February affirmation maybe, and then we'll check back in and keep moving on. All right. So thanks for sharing what you're feeling to be for this week. Mine is present. I feel like I have been a little scattered lately, constantly forward thinking or backward thinking and not really being in the here and now. So that's what I'm kind of going to work on, that feeling of being present. What does it feel like to be fully present in the moment? And so, and also for sharing those three goals, kind of what you're thinking as you're putting things in there. And now we're going to move on to our to-dos, and we're also going to talk about our habits and activities, or our habities, as I like to say when I'm talking too fast. Um, so there's been a lot of reading. I've been doing a lot of reading these last several months. And so it's been kind of fun to really dig into that. So I liked this little meme that said, "You don't read, so you're just living in this reality with no backup worlds." Terrifying. Is always have my backup worlds in my books, different things that I'm reading. And then I also put on here, if you like a good book challenge, thinking about different things to kind of a different prompt for the month. So there's different kinds of ideas for different kinds of books. Yeah, backup worlds, right? So we always need a good backup world. Um, so there's some fun book challenges there for the to do if you like reading and want to get some ideas for themes for some books you want to pick. Then, so some people like to, in their to-do list, just make a full-on to-do list, right? Just kind of write things down. Some people like to have a big master list of to-dos for the month, and then they go through and they use the Eisenhower matrix to classify those, to see if there's something that's important and urgent, then they need to do it this month. If it's important but it's not urgent, they need to decide when that's going to happen. If it's not important but it's urgent, maybe you can delegate. And then if it's not important and it's not urgent, maybe it's something that you can delete or drop. Some folks have done some things where they do like a self, home, and work list to do, and this person gave themselves points for doing each of these things. Some people like to use the Pomodoro technique to get things done. I love doing that. You set a little timer for 25 minutes, you focus just on that one thing, get it done, then you take a little 5-minute break and you keep working on those. I also like the cute little, there's some more of those cute little stickers with the to-dos. They're going to mail some pen pal cards. They're going to put eyes on their worry worms. They're making the little crochet worry worms. They're going to print some book stickers and they're going to update some texts. So I think that's a fun idea. Jennifer is also popping some information about the Eisenhower matrix there into the chat. Some people divided it up into call, errands, follow up, and schedule. I like the person who kind of did the fun little one there in the middle top where they kind of did the little circle. It says make today great. And then they kind of have some different things for each of the days. It's definitely fun. Maybe you have some needs and some wants. Maybe you have some don't do these things, do this instead. I think that's a great idea also. Someone drew a cute little picture and said treasure myself. And they have a cute little picture of a little rainbow and a little pot of gold. Love that. And then here's some fun graphics. Always got to give you all the graphics. The February bucket list. These are always super fun. I have this calendar, so that's always a fun, and it has like the little stickers that you can put on when you do any of the things there on the little bucket list. So those are kind of fun. Another one that just says hello February, and some fun ideas. Filling your space with flowers and pops of color. I see those are definitely something that lots of folks like to do. And then our habits and activities. I have another fun book, been finding all the fun book quotes, but it says, I love reading multiple books at the same time because it's like, I'm bored. I think I'll take a break from reading and read instead. I definitely do that. I have a book, an audio book, a book on the Kindle, a couple hard copy books that I do. Yeah, I do the same thing with knitting. I'll have like multiple knitting projects, like a complicated one, a super easy one. I have a hat. I have a blanket. I have, all those different kinds of things. So I thought that was kind of fun. Here's some examples of things that folks have done. Like being kind to myself, acceptance of myself there in the habits and activities. One person popped a lot of stickers on there and was like, I'm not going to worry about writing those things down. I'm just going to put some little stickers. I like to spend some time outside, listen to upbeat music. I know some people ask, how is this section different from our habit wheel? And the habit wheel that's earlier on, that big habit wheel that we do, the habit wheel is more for things we want to do every day. The habits and activities often are specific to the week. Maybe there are things we only want to do a couple times that day. Maybe they're habits we're trying out to see how they work. So that's how you can kind of do that. One thing that's really good to put into your habits and activities in the weekly section is to go back and look at your intentions that you set for the month. Make sure that you're filling out some of those different wheels that the different habit trackers. Oh no, Megan says she was filling out the wrong week. Well, that's what correction tape and scribbles are for. You can, it's okay. You'll be fine. Um, see, here's some other examples. Some people like to do a to don't list. Some people like to do a to be list. Some people like to do ta-da lists, right? Kind of whatever works for you, things that you like. And then here's again, we've got to have the fun little pictures here. So we've got some analog activities, been working on trying to do more of those. And then if you don't follow the Ordinary and Happy on Instagram, again, highly recommend you do that. You can also sign up on their website. They have a website, and you can sign up daily newsletter, and they always have all these fun. So this is a fun little bucket list. So you could maybe put some of these things somewhere here in your journal. So I'm going to let you work on those. I think that's the last one. Yep, I'm going to let you work on those, and then we will check back in and we will keep moving on. Right. Thank you all for sharing in the chat how you're going to use those sections. Again, this is a great each week is a great opportunity to try out something different, see if things worked, or if things are working really well, bring them over from last week, right? You don't have to come up with brand new things every week. If things are working really well and you want to kind of bring those over, absolutely can do those as well. So let's go over to page 33 to finish up our time together. And we kind of call this the B side, right? One of our facilitators, Katie, always calls this the B side because it's sometimes you listen to the B side, sometimes you don't. So I think these sections are probably a little more heavily repurposed by folks. And I had to put this picture because I'm pretty sure this is my cat that constantly wants food. Mother, I am but skin and bones. And she is not. So yeah, right. Cats are, she's like, I'm starving. It's like, you just ate. I literally just put food in your bowl. And dogs too, right? Totally funny. I had to put that in there. So our meal plan, obviously you can use to plan our meals, plan our cats' meals, plan our dogs' meals. But we can also use it to track our exercise, maybe track a belief that we encountered for the day. Or maybe how a belief showed up for us during the day. Maybe you want to do one good thing, draw a little doodle there, a daily affirmation. Maybe it's planning out dinners. That can always be helpful. Who knew that when we were adults, the question that we constantly had to ask was, what do you want for dinner? There should be like an easier way to figure that out, right? I have some February doodling ideas from Ordinary and Happy if you want to use this space for a fun little doodle. Today's a bouquet of roses. Tomorrow's a chocolate box. Kind of fun things. Another person did meal plan for my soul, and they ask themselves some different questions like, what's draining my energy? What's a small goal I achieved today? Yeah, or buying silverware that makes us happy. Silverware, Tupperware glass containers that make us happy, all those kinds of things, right? As an adult, who knew? A national day of, each day is like a national day of something. So somebody went through and kind of wrote in all the what is the national day of for each of those days. And then our mind body health plan. I thought this was just such a cute little drawing with the remember that you are made of stardust and chaos and pure unadulterated menace. Go make it everyone else's problem. I thought that was such a cute little creature. I wonder if their cat wants food. Yeah, right. Totally. Mornings. That is kind of what mornings look like sometimes. So mind body health plan, again, can be a lot of different things that you're doing for your mind, your body. I especially liked the little quote about if you are making 10-year-old you proud and giving 80-year-old you something to reminisce about, I think you're doing okay. So I love the idea of taking the mind body health plan and being like, each day I want to do something that makes my 10-year-old me proud and gives my 80-year-old me something to reminisce about. I think that's kind of a fun way to do that. Maybe it's you want to track some feels and needs, a highlight of the day, some yoga that you're going to do. I thrive when all the pieces come together. So maybe some fun little puzzle pieces, a little alliteration there for a motivation Monday, a talk it out Tuesday, walking Wednesday. I think those are all really good ideas. And I'm going to go through all the little sections here. So do what you need to here. And again, some more fun little reading quotes. I love reading for 30 minutes before bed. It's the best 3 hours of the day. Does anybody else do that? I'm just going to read for 30 minutes, 3 hours later. Or also, I don't think you understand just how badly a reader needs the book that they just heard about 5 minutes ago and will not end up reading for the next 5 years, right? Are you like that? You hear a book and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to read that. Even though I have an insane amount of books on my to be read pile, I have to put it on a list, right? Or get another book. Bingos, love a good bingo here in the shopping list. You can use it for quotes. You can use it to track your daily rituals. Maybe it's some fun mini meditations or some songs or a just for fun bingo. Those kinds of things, quotes, a packing list, any of those kinds of things. And then I am loving whatever you're loving right now. I found this really fun. Somebody in the last social was talking about they wanted to make a curriculum for themselves. So they have kind of like different syllabus that they want to do. And so I love this, your February curriculum from the productivity method on Instagram. So they have like a hobby syllabus, an anti-burnout productivity plan. I just thought that was all super fun, this idea of making a curriculum for yourself for the month. So we have just a few minutes, so I'll play just a little bit of music. We'll let you work on that. I'll kind of go back through the slides. Again, remember to take some screenshots, and then we'll check back in and wrap things up. All right. Well, believe it or not, our hour is up. I don't know how this time goes by so quickly. It is always just such a fast time. And I appreciate those of you who are saying, like, I haven't actually done anything in my journal. I've been chatting and maybe writing down notes, or maybe somebody was using some stencils to color in their word in the how I want to feel, and they're still on that. That's okay. Right. That's totally all right. And if you want to tell your family, like, oh no, I still have another hour, leave me alone. I'm still on this call, even though the call will end, that's okay. We won't tell anyone, right? I know it's important to carve out that time. So again, thank you all for sharing. We love to see your examples in Sonder Club, so please feel free to share those. If you feel comfortable with sharing any of those, you might just see one of yours pop up in one of our socials. And then I did want to mention, some folks were talking about the birthday bash that is happening on February 18th. So it's Silk and Sonder's 7th birthday, Mayha's first baby, right? It's going to be 7 years old. So there's going to be some founder Q&A, some Silk and Sonder trivia, some reflection prompts, all sorts of fun things will be happening. So we'd love to have you join us for that. So I will pop my link to my Spotify playlist that has a lot of different songs on there. And Jen's popping a lot of different links in there, the link for the signing up for the birthday bash, the YouTube video where we have all these recordings of all these socials, our Elevate planner that I noticed someone was mentioning they like to use that for their mind map, the Elevate planner. That's a great idea. All the fun things. So have a fabulous rest of your day, a great first week of February, and hopefully we will see you all again soon. All right. Take care, everyone.